you have, whether they are qualified to man those institutions for the smooth running of your institution. If you don't, then I think the priority would be, how do you get qualified human resources to fill those, to take care of those areas? You are very fond of patchwork or management, managing people, trying to manage a square peg in a round hole. Obviously, you know you're wasting your time. So, if we know that this is indispensable and we need expertise in this, you don't sit down and say, because we don't have personnel. If you look across the Gambia, you'll see somebody that can hold the fort whilst you train people that you know. When I mean no, it doesn't mean that people from the same village with you. What I mean is people who are hardworking within your department, and they have the potential that if you know them and if they are reliable, and you know that if you train them, they will not go for greener pastures and abandon you after you've spent so much money on them. Sometimes also it is frustrating, and that is human, to see that somebody has been struggling and serving diligently with dedication and patriotism and zeal under difficult circumstances, and then all of a sudden somebody is brought from outside and trained and then put over him or her. But that is also not an offense. If you are not also performing, these things can happen. Promotion, as far as I'm concerned, is based on merit. It's not based on the length of service. That is not going to happen. Because if it is based on the length of service, it's not performance-based, you also create a lot of frustration, where people work their necks off only for somebody who is not even performing to benefit. What do I mean by that? If the promotion is based on seniority, the senior man doesn't do any work, but he's still promoted at the end of the day. Each time that it is a promotional cycle that comes in. PSPMO, you are here. That is not going to happen. Promotion should be based on merit. It will not be based on, it will not be based on length of service, but it will be based on efficiency and productivity. Also, despite the fact that the financial instructions also allow you to buy things through certain individuals or vendors, they are called. But I think natural logic states that if the individual is to go and buy it from a supermarket and charge you twice the price, why don't you, what law says that you cannot go and buy from the same supermarket and avoid government-based? So you want a tin of coffee, yes, we know how much it costs. If it is $10, somebody say, okay, let us buy it through the vendor. The vendor doesn't have a factory for coffee. All the vendor has to do is go and buy it from a supermarket and give you a bill of $20 per tin. Does that make sense? No. Waste, government waste, is not going to be tolerated in whatever form. You need air freshener spray, and then you need some tissue paper boxes. Why don't you go to the supermarket and buy? So for such things, forget vendors. It's not going to be accepted. Assign somebody who will be responsible. Now, if you don't want to be in trouble too, you make sure that each area that is important in your department or institution, there is somebody who is head of that department and who can be held to account for whatever reason. What do I mean by that? Now, if you as the MD want to be the purchasing officer also, so you go to the supermarket to buy this tissue paper and whatever, coffee and air spray, and distribute it, whether if there's a financial problem or misconduct, your head will rule first. If you are not also comfortable with whoever is there, maybe you found the person there, as a citizen of this country, even as a person entrusted with responsibility, you should be bold enough to come to the Secretary General and tell him, look, I think I cannot work with this person. It is better that way than you trying to manage somebody you know that you can never manage. Then a problem arises where your head is going to roll and his head is not going to roll. Oh, I'm just coming in, I don't want anybody to say I'm the one that is responsible for somebody being sent home. You're not responsible for somebody being sent home, because any performing person would not be sent home. But you have a choice. Keep the person that is doing evil, because you don't want anybody to blame you for whatever happens to him. Blame yourself when you are kicked out. So you have a choice. A leader has to assume responsibility. If you want to be a friend of everybody that is working under you, you are asking for trouble. Because you cannot be the friends to angels and friends to the devil at the same time, and you expect to go to heaven. And also there's no place where half is heaven and half is hell. So if you want to condone evil people in your department and you know that they are not performing, or simply because they are related to a friend of yours who is also in government, well, let's see what happens when you go home. After all, this is the country's office. It doesn't belong to me or you. It belongs to every Gambian. So in the performance of your duties, one thing is paramount: the fear of Allah and your service to a nation, period. Relationship, you live it when you are at home. Let me make that very clear. Friendship, live it when you are at home. If you have your own farm and you can employ your friends, relatives or whatever, they can do whatever they want because you don't want the friendship to end. But in government, there's no friendship. I mean friendship to the extent that it will be at the expense of the Gambian people. So, in the performance of our duties, each time you wake up in the morning, realize that you will be responsible for your own actions. Many times people are sent home and then they say, I don't know, I didn't do anything wrong. I sat and then a message